Hi! Today I'm going to teach you guys how to measure. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is look at our measuring device. This is the most common measuring device that we'll use. Now, this is just a smaller ruler, but we'll often use a meter stick too. But it all has the same markings. Notice this side over here, inches. Don't use that side, ever, period. Alright, over here we're looking at the centimeter side of our ruler. Alright, and you're going to see all of the centimeters are the ones that are marked off with numbers. So all of these spots right here, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, alright, all those big marks, those are our full centimeters. And then we have these smaller marks in between. These are the millimeters. Alright, so we go all the way down. This one has all the way up to 30 centimeters on it. Alright, so what does this mean for us? Well, when we're looking at our ruler, this should tell us basically how accurate our measuring device is. In this case, our measuring device is accurate to centimeters, but not just centimeters. There's smaller marks here in between. So we have the centimeters of the big marks, and each of these smaller marks in between, break it down, these things are called millimeters. So what does a millimeter mean? Well, all right, 1 centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. That means there are 100 centimeters, that's the big marks, in each meter. And each millimeter, right, milli means 1/1000th, so there are 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. And if I'm thinking about the relationship between those, 1 millimeter is 1/10 of a centimeter, because we're taking a centimeter here on our ruler and we're breaking it down into 10 little bits. All right, so that 10th thing is actually a big deal, because it means that when we take a measurement of, say, 3 whole centimeters, so maybe we make it to the 3 whole centimeter mark, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4 millimeters after that, right? 3 centimeters and 4 millimeters can actually be written as 3.4 centimeters. That's awesome. We'll talk about this in just a second. But this allows us to write all of our numbers like that, so that our millimeters are the 10th spot and our whole centimeters are here over on the 1 spot. Awesome. Okay, so when we're thinking about our measuring device, we want to think about what the marks actually represent. That's the centimeters and the millimeters. And where should we stop our measurement? Well, that's the fun part, all right? Because here's the thing. Those millimeters are really small. They're hard to see, all right? And when we start and stop our measurement, we're going to notice that there are some problems with some of the stuff that we see. First, look at the end of my ruler right here, okay? This plastic is pretty well rounded right at the edge. You might say, yeah, I can see where the 0 starts, but look at it real close. It's even chipped into the 0. So I actually don't want to use the 0 as my measurement, right? Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my measurement right here at the 1 instead. Why am I doing this? Well, the 1 is a nice line that's not chipped off, and it's easy to see. So what I do is I make sure that I line this up as best as I can with that 1 line, right? With that line on the 1, so that the front edge of that matches, all right? I stop my measurement over here at the end. Now, this measurement, we have to be careful, because I've gone what it looks like is full 18 centimeters, but in reality, I started at the 1, so I've really only gone 17 full centimeters. I'll have to remember to subtract this 1 centimeter out from my final measurement. So I'm looking down here now, and I see, all right, here's my 18, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 5 mark. That's 5 millimeters. And it looks like I pretty definitively make it to the 6. It might be a little bit in front of the 6. It might be a little bit behind the 6. So what do we do? What do we do? Well, when I write my measurement here, I'm going to write my 17 full centimeters. And I am really sure that it is close to the 6. Even if it might be a little bit before or even a little bit after the 6 millimeter mark. All right, take a good look at that. I can be sure that it's definitely closest to the 6. So I'm actually going to write that 6. So that is 17.6 centimeters, right? And that's the measurement that I'm actually going to take because, let's face it, I can't be perfect at the end of this. I have a microscope at home, and if we got right down, and this is really hard because it doesn't really want to focus on something this small, but if we got really close, I don't know, I might not have lined the front up very well. I could have definitely been off by a little smidge of a millimeter there. And then if I was off by a little smidge of a millimeter over here, it's the same thing. Like, I can really only be sure about this measurement to the whole millimeter mark, whatever I'm closest to. So whether I round up or round down, it's just whatever I'm closest to. And then we can talk about how good my measurement really is. I mean, I can say that my measurement is definitely to the millimeters place. I can feel confident there. But here's the thing. I mean, I could really be off by as much as like a half of a millimeter and still get the same measurement. So what we think about is that we're within a certain boundary around our measurement. It might be 18.6 centimeters, or sorry, 17.6 centimeters, but we could be off by as much as a half of a millimeter. So we use this notation sometimes to talk about how much we could have been off. So we could have been as much as a half of a millimeter, or sorry, yes, a half of a millimeter up or a half of a millimeter down, right? And so I have this thing right here. This is called our uncertainty. And so sometimes I do want to write that. So we would write plus or minus 0.05 centimeters to say we're within that amount. This is important because when we talk about the error at the end of a lab, this is one of the contributing factors to error. Sometimes this is really small and it doesn't really matter compared to our measurement. I would say that here. But in other cases, this amount can really add up and it can make huge differences. And we'll see that at different points. So thank you very much. That is measurement. Here's how we take a measurement. Good luck. Let's talk about one last thing. This is called parallax, all right? So parallax is how you're actually viewing the object. So if I'm measuring this, all right, what I want to do is try to stay as straight on to the edge of this as I possibly can. Because if I change my angle, I can actually change the measurement that I'm looking at. And I can even see this on this line. Like if I tilt this over, it looks like it starts before the 1, but if I tilt this over here, it looks like it starts after the 1. This is what parallax is all about, all right? So you want to get your eye straight on. Cool? One eye, cover one up, stay perpendicular, make good measurements. Later.